struck with this case of aubergines and figs and, you know, tomatoes coming in to my grandmother's home. And my uncle would trade fresh produce and spices with Aleppo, Syria, because they were right by the Syrian border. And he would celebrate Hanukkah with his Jewish friends. He would, you know, we celebrate Noel and Christmas with our Christian friends. And we would break our bread for at the end of Ramadan, you know, to celebrate Ramadan. You still hear the church bell ringing with muezzins calling for a prayer for Muslims. And I think it's lovely. So if one wants to do it, one can achieve this. It can happen. And Antakya, for me, is an episode of a diversity, and that is, you know, hugely reflected. I mean, I vividly talk about a lot of personal stories in the book, and that is a very part of that whole food culture, really.
And regarding the food culture, UNESCO has actually recognized it, hasn't it?
Absolutely, and it's a big accolade for Antakya. So this year, UNESCO approved Antakya City of Gastronomy, which is a fantastic accolade, and Antakya usually deserves it. Gaziantep had it a few years ago, because it has such richness, you know, flavoring through spices, you know, condiments like pomegranate molasses and bulgur, and, you know, and all this influence with Eastern Mediterranean and the Levantine cuisine. So it's hopefully it will really help Antakya to come alive.
Tell us a little bit about your grandfather, who was a food merchant. What kind of things would he bring home?
So would you mind if I show from the book my grandmother's home?
Of course.
So my book opens up with my grandmother's home, where I spent all my childhood. So this is, I'm going to stand up. So this is my grandmother's 450-year-old stone home in ancient Antioch. You see the pomegranate trees, the lemon tree, the mulberry tree, the young walnuts. So I grew up here, and there was a little fountain in the middle where, you know, we would. I'll tell you about that.
She has a lovely, lovely description in the book about how they would chill the watermelons in the fountains, and then all the children would go and swim with the watermelons. I just think so lovely. But that was only just a prelude to a much greater wash,
exactly,
wasn't it? So you'd then be dragged off to the hammam, wouldn't you?
So we have this lovely little fountain in the middle. It's called Havush in Antakya, you know, the middle bit. So it's like, just think of a very miniature Topkapı Palace. So all the stone homes, stone rooms attached to one another. There's a bird gravings on the walls, you know, where the birds would, you know, those would come in, you know, would leave food for them. And you know, and it's beautiful wind comes through the trees and whatnot. So my grandmother would put the watermelons to chill in that little fountain, and me and my cousins would get our swimsuits on and just go into the fountain to refresh and cool with the watermelons, which is a sort of pre-wash to the
big one, the big scrub. So then you'd be dragged to the hammam.
Well, my dede, grandpa Supi, was also the who would run the local hammam, the Turkish bath, right across our home. So then Anneanne would say, now, you had your play, now you need to have a proper wash, because if you don't have a real good scrub with a kese that
removes all the skin,
all the dead skin, they don't think you have a proper bath. So twice a week, we have to do that. So we would toddle off to the hammam to get our fix, and then Anneanne and my mom would follow with picnic bags of goodies like böreks, pastries, you know, little keftes, little, you know, cakes. Because what you do is, you have on the marble floors, you have all your hammam and wash fix. And of course you must be hungry after all that. So there's a resting room next door, salon. So that's how we got convinced that we have to have hammam anyway.
Because there was food
coming out next. So we would toddle off to salon. So you have all the chais, all the drinks, and your böreks laid down. You know, everything is ready, and you have your after hammam feast, shall we say, to indulge in. So I mean, food, even in hammam, has been hugely engraved into to our daily
I
life.
know. I experienced that when I first went to Turkey many years ago, and had a hammam in Bursa, and all the ladies did exactly that, but it was my first experience of it. And it wasn't in a separate room, so we're all naked in the hammam with sort of boobs flopping all over the place and buttocks wobbling and dancing going on. And then all of these grapes and figs and kefta and dried burek brought out. I just found it extraordinary. I must say, picnics and baths have never been the same since.
It's incredible. It's just, you know, one of those memories always sticks in your mind, and it's priceless. It's very precious, very precious.
To go back to the actual ingredients, though, of Antakya, you have got some quite particular things to that region. Would you like to tell us about some of them? Because you have some to show us.
Yes, sure. Well, I mean, the Turkish cuisine, first of all, is based on seasonal produce. You know, that's what we're very proud. It's a country who has 4 seasons, so we have plenty of fresh produce. And I think it's essential. That's what Turkish cuisine is based on. Frozen food is minimal. My mother would cook lunch and dinner every day. And I think it just sticks with you. You know, I had a busy corporate life previous to my, cookery career. You always observe and watch, and it's something, I'm very grateful to have a chance to observe it. But what we do is we flavor dishes through spices and olive oil and nuts and natural condiments. But when a vegetable is in abundance, in southern Turkey, where I'm from, we dry them to be used when they are not in season. For instance, may I? So this is baby okra. My children like to wear them as a necklace, like that. So look how small okra can get at home. It's tiny. And so when this is in season, we will dry them. And outside the village homes in southern Turkey, Antakya, Gaziantep, Maraş region, you see them all hanging outside. So what do you do with that? So if I'm cooking for a family of 4, I would most probably use the whole thing. You blanch them in salted boiling water, only a few minutes, so that it rehydrates, but you wouldn't want to make it mushy. So you then take it to the cold bath, and then we would saute some onions and garlic and chopped tomatoes, and then add this chat. If you like meat, you can add some mincemeat to it, and it's utterly delicious because all the flavor is so concentrated. So that's another one. That's our bell peppers. See how tiny again it gets. That's little chili peppers. So the same idea. And then of course the king of vegetables, patlıcan. Aubergine. Look how small.
Perhaps describe how you would use those. Yes, you always find your chilies get to you.
Chili gets me,
even
yes.
though you are from Antakya,
Yes.
they still get you.
So we first scoop out all the inside flesh. We wouldn't waste it. We would chop them and saute them, make little baba ganoush and some lovely meze. And then we would put them on a little string and again hang them outside the village homes. Let them dry under hot Mediterranean sun, and when it's time to cook, when aubergine is not in season, you say, I would take 10 pieces of them, put it in salted boiling water for it to rehydrate for a few minutes, and then I would saute some garlic and onion and tomatoes, fresh herbs like dill and parsley, nane, dried mint is big in Antakya, so I would always add mint. Some bulgur perhaps, if you're in Antakya, rice, stuff them and cook with a little bit of water and olive oil, almost like poaching really. And utterly delicious because the flavors are so concentrated. Think about, dried mushrooms. And just beautiful, such a delicacy. I now use it in my cookery classes, mostly as a talking point. But whenever I have a good supply, I always do the teaching with them. Spices, isn't it? I mean, we were talking about that because we made this lovely biberlik made at your beautiful kitchen, that flatbreads with feta and za'atar and all extra virgin olive oil. And za'atar is a very special spice blend as well as herb itself, spice itself. The actual herb is thyme and marjoram, whereas the blend za'atar, my mother says there's about 40 different ingredients in it, from sesame seeds to cooked crushed chickpeas, ground pistachios, sumac with that tangy taste, mint, and cumin, pungent spice, and it's a beautiful, beautiful. That za'atar blend would actually be the main event for the locals in Antakya to have their breakfast. So they would have that special cheese, tuzlu yoğurt, we say, like salty yogurt, almost like salted version of cottage cheese, and really good olive oil, which from Antakya, and the za'atar dip. So they would dip their bread into za'atar and olive oil and the cheese. So that's the breakfast for us.
Hugely important thing in Turkey. I mean, there are over 200 dishes in Turkey just on aubergines alone. You actually have a little story about the aubergines.
I hope you're not bored with my story, but I'll give it a go. Well, aubergine or patlıcan, as we call in Turkish, is hugely popular. It is our national vegetable. It's, of course, it's a fruit. It has seeds in it, but we adore it. We grill it, we broil it, we bake it, we smoke it like we did for abaganmış yesterday. We even make jams out of tiny little aubergines in Antalya. I mean, you can't eat it raw, but once it's cooked, that flesh is so beautifully sweet, and it's called actually poor man's meat. And I mean, I would be delighted to eat aubergine any day instead of meat. I love it. Scotland is special, I said, because I studied in Scotland. I studied Stirling University for my master's degree in 95-96 period. At that time, I didn't plan it, but happened to be there. I'm delighted that I met my husband to be Angus. Very Scottish name, born in Texas, from Wiltshire. But his parents lived in Dunblane for a long time. That's why Scotland is very special. Angus was a BP at the time, so we first met, and it's just that ice-breaking time. And, so I better cook. That's what you do to show how we care and how we love in my part of the world. And my flatmate, so we are in a post-residential complex at Stirling University, and I had a Taiwanese flatmate and a Greek flatmate and a French flatmate. So they said, we'll all help you, Özlem. We'll make a starter, and you take care of the main course. I said, okay, I must do something with aubergine. So here I am on the phone with my mother. No email those days, no texting or WhatsApping and all that. Most expensive phone call, I think. So I better get this carnier recipe right. Carnier is a split belly stuffed aubergines with mincemeat and onions and tomatoes and garlic. It's a very traditional, very popular recipe. So Angus sits there, and I'm sitting here, and I'm on the phone, writing notes, because people don't write down this, and then comes, and then you learn that you have to get on with this and learn how to do the recipes properly. So Mom says, okay, saute patlıcan, and then add that, and then open the patlıcan, and this, and then Angus hears, because we Turks tend to talk quite loudly. So Angus actually hears all this conversation of patlıcan flowing. And he said at the end, Özlem, what is patlıcan? And I said, well, that's the aubergine, and you'll be having hopefully tonight. That's what they're looking for. And he said, sounds rather nice. I think I'll call you patlıcan from now on. Sounds pretty cute. So my name at home is patlıcan. It's a short patlı, actually. I sign my emails and whatnot, So, yeah, I made a little patlıcan.
Well, it sounds like a very lovely name anyway. Perfect to be described as an aubergine.
But Angus decided to have his MBA, so we ended up in Austin, Texas, which was very kind for us. We thought we would stay for 2 years. We ended up staying about 6 years. And there was a wonderful cookery school called Central Market Cooking School there, which I first started volunteering, and then they very kindly said, you must teach us Turkish cookery. And I'm very grateful they did, so I taught 5 years with them, Turkish cookery in all around Texas state.
But you also actually took groups back to Turkey,
I
didn't
did,
you?
yes. Because when you teach a cookery class, you know, I'm sure, you don't only talk about recipes, that the recipes are intertwined with the culture, with the region, with the way we do things, the hospitality. And folks who came to the classes wanted to see the country from a local's perspective. Music to my ears. You know, here I am deprived in Austin, Texas. So it was great. We did about 7 culinary and culture tours back to back home.
And you actually took them to the villages.
Oh,
you
yes,
took them to
sure.
your mum.
Yes, mum and
gave
dad.
them a different type of trip, didn't you?
They always made this lovely meal, you know, because hospitality is a big part of the culture. You know, we say in Turkey, başımın üstünde yerin var. That means I place you at top of my head. Actually, she's an incredible example of that. I've never eaten so well in my life, and I've stayed with Ghillie, so you definitely is an epitome of that. But guests are very important for us, and we say, you know, if we share a piece of bread with them, it tastes better. For us, sharing is very important. So I hope to show that side to them, and you know, the real genuine part of Turkey, Antakya, been to Antakya, Cappadocia. Also did the touristy visit, but we always cook with locals, and just to get them a real feel of the countryside.
Yeah, it must have been very special for them.
It was.
But also, going back to your husband, let's get to the nitty-gritties. How did he actually end up proposing to you?
Oh, okay. So what happened? Well, it's, I think the Turkish coffee you're on.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my parents, Orhan and Gülçin, lovely, lovely folks, very traditional Turkish. Mom hardly ever can talk English. She talks very slowly with a beautiful smile on her face and looks right through Angus's eye. And he thinks he'll get it because I'm talking slowly, I'm smiling to him. Body language. Angus gets some part of it, but he notes and it's, you know, many things lost in translation. that can tackle the daily language. He's fine. So one fine morning, just before Angus departing for Aberdeen, he was based in Aberdeen at that time, he was staying with us. So Mum is making gözleme, flatbread with fillings for breakfast. Dad is squeezing orange juice, portakal suyu. He's in his dressing gown. It's 8 o'clock or so in the morning. Mom has her curlers in her hair. Angus came shaved, sharp, dressed, ready for action. His suitcase is by the door because within a few hours he's departing. And he said, "May I have a word, please, with your mom and dad, Özlem?" So I think at that point, Mom said, "Oh my God, this might be it. This might just be it. This might be her ticket, perhaps." So, but then I said, "I need Özlem because she has to translate. I can't just stand." So we left the gözleme and we summoned to the lounge. Angus was very sweet, He explained how much he means, and we had their kindness. It's always like how much he'd love to spend the rest of his life, and all that lovely stuff. I translated them as much as I can. That moment, Mom is crying.
You must have been, were you not?
Not bad, I am crying. Dad, cool, reserved, but very proud, shakes his hand. Of course, Angus was crying. And at that time, Mom on the phone, and Wi-Fi, wireless is nothing. The whole world, all UK, friends in the US, next door aunties, they all know the news. All aunties in our home in 10 days, in 10 minutes, they're all in the house to celebrate. And Mom said, "Özlem, you must make Turkish coffee. I mean, that is the tradition. You need to make a nice, bol köpüklü, good frog Turkish coffee. Because, you need to pass the test, because that's, the tradition dictates." So I summon the kitchen. I'm making my Turkish coffee. It's more than a drink, it's a special, special drink. Angus never drinks coffee before 11, never. He had to drink that coffee at 8:30 a.m. in the morning. Apparently he didn't sleep for 2 days. But so I made a beautiful Turkish coffee with the froth, and we sipped and reflected and smiled and all that. And we had this lovely feast with all relatives. And all others on the phone. Well done, we've been waiting. When is the date? When can we walk up?
I wonder if he really was going back to Aberdeen, or if he was smartly dressed with his bagpipe just in case Dad said no.
Yeah, I think he's well
What
prepared.
would have happened?
I know, you know, but I think they were so relieved by then. Finally, she's off 6.5 years, and yeah, it was very soon. And actually, at our engagement, because in Turkey you have the engagement nishan ceremony, the girl party arranging, and then the wedding. So engagement was in Turkey, Istanbul, so is the wedding. Angus decided to make a Turkish speech for all the guests. We sit down and write every word phonetically so that he could tell. And there was one word, and I couldn't simplify it, and that's Turkish hospitality. That means thank you for your hospitality. That means due to your hospitality. So, misafirperverliklerinden dolayı. So it's longer than a Welsh word. He never forgets that. You made me say that misafirperverliklerinden dolayı. Teşekkür ederim. And he did that beautifully, you know, and of course, Turks were very kind. Always open, never closed. And there's always someone turns up. Surprise, surprise, meal times. Oh, Özlem teyze burada. Oh, Shakir amca is here. I said, well, come on in. We're just about to eat. See, we have spare place. Always few spare place because we know there's always someone turns up, and they would be warmly welcomed. Now, you know, following that legacy, I mean, I have a I live in Surrey, Weybridge, Surrey. I have a Swedish neighbor next door. I have a Japanese neighbor, and I love that diversity actually in that part of the world. If I'm cooking a helva or whatever dolma, there's always knock linea, that's yours, you know, and that's sharing is very special for us. It is it's a big part of our.
It's a way of showing your love.
Yeah.
And you would actually like to read a little bit to
sure.
demonstrate
Yes.
that, wouldn't
Yes.
you, from your book?
Yes, so that's from the introduction, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I have to show this photo to you. So that's my mother. It's one of the many family photos in the book. That's my mother and my daughter Emma Gülçin and Defne. So this is the table. We literally landed in. It's about 11 p.m. in the evening. And mother's great big table is out there ready. Because Angus still asks, do you think mother will have the table ready? I said, yes. So you better not eat in the plate. Because you know there's a feast wait, because they've been looking forward to this for so long. She's been cooking for it for 3 months, most probably. Making her paste, you know, pickling her onions and turşu and all that. So, okay. So that's the food made with love, expression of love. From here, yes. For Turks, cooking and sharing a meal with family and friends is our way of showing our love and care. As we say in Turkish, paylaştıkça artan mutluluk. Happiness that grows with sharing. My mother taught me to greet your guests always with a warm smile on your face and in your heart. Make them welcome and feel they're a part of your extended family. It's a lesson and value I live by every day. Our family trips back to Turkey are always a cause for much excitement with my children, Mark, Jen, and Emma Gülçin. And needless to say, for me. On the plane journey, they would always ask, "Bir anneanne, Grandma prepared a big dinner on the first night, and will we eat all together?" Here, together means the whole family, my sister's family, cousins, grandma, and grandpa. My mother will have been cooking and preparing for days before our arrival, making sure to include our favorite dishes. But it is the togetherness, the gathering of the family to share a meal that stays in my children's mind and heart the most. I will always remember my parents traveling to the US when my children were born to help in their loving Turkish way with the food. My mother cooked every day for a month, I mean it. And when she left, there was another month's worth of meals in the freezer for us new parents. That was her way of expressing her love, and it had been gratefully appreciated. We're reading after the stroke of the Amnesty group, and it is a very touching thing for me, to my heart, because Antakya is right by the Syrian border, and we have a long history of trade with my family between Aleppo, and we have a huge, over 2 million refugees at home, and it's truly heartbreaking, and we have so many dishes shared and culture in common too. And in a way, what Antakya represents at the moment is tolerance and acceptance and respect, shall we say, for wherever you come from or wherever your background is. You're welcome, and you could coexist and be happy. And that's a very strong message, especially with what's going on right next to the border. And I truly hope we all have a chance to come and visit that special, magical land and see it with your own eyes. And it's it really is a special place.
Well, if you speak to the ministry, you could perhaps get us all over there for UNESCO 2020.
To explore,
that sounds like a good idea. We could all come and see for ourselves.
Yeah, 2020 is something to work on.